So, warm welcome to Andy Roberts, who's the Technical Sales Manager at AIG, and thank you for taking the time, Andy, to come and talk about some of the opportunities that will be there in the buy-to-let space. What new protection needs do you think the underwriting standards that are being imposed on buy-to-let mortgages from the 30th of September will provide, if any?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's necessarily any new protection needs, because I would argue they've probably been there before. But what the new regulations will actually do is provide an excellent opportunity to weave the discussion around protection into the conversation. I think a couple of the particular rules that stand out for me are around especially the affordability assessment. So there's a number of different tests that they've got to do. So there is a stress test, for example, which requires the broker to actually demonstrate that they have looked at what might happen to a client's affordability given a change, an X% change in interest rates. Now, if they're having that very conversation, there's a very easy lead on to, okay, so we've looked at what might happen to interest rates, but what would happen if you were to suffer a critical illness or if you weren't able to work for an extended period of time? It's a very easy lead on in that respect. The second one for me is probably around the definition of portfolios, so a portfolio landlord. And the PRA is defining that as someone who has 4 or more mortgaged buy-to-let properties. Now, the definition, or them defining it as portfolio, is novel, because I would often talk about portfolio protection in meaning an investment portfolio, protecting that, underpinning it against the effects of serious illness before you reach retirement. But working it into this conversation, if it's a portfolio, then it lends itself to having a discussion about underpinning the buy-to-let portfolio, and the principles are the same. And the third one that stands out for me is just around the clarification that the reduction in capital requirements for small businesses don't apply when we're actually talking buy-to-let businesses where it is held via a company. And that for me lends itself to discussion around business protection as well.
Okay, so you mentioned business protection. You wrote an article recently in which you discussed the increased use of companies to hold buy-to-let properties. What opportunities do you specifically see with that?
Over the last, since the last 6 to 9 months probably or more, we've seen a massive increase in the purchase of buy-to-let properties within a limited company. And certainly since April, when new treatment on, or new tax treatment started to be phased in, which is happening over a period of time. And it's making it more attractive to actually hold a buy-to-let property within a limited company, because a limited company pays corporation tax on its profits at a rate of 19%, whereas because of the change in taxation that's starting to be phased in, some investors will be effectively taxed at 40 or 45% if they are higher or additional rate taxpayers. So certainly a lot of specialist buy-to-let mortgage brokers are telling us that they are seeing a marked increase in the use of limited companies such as special purpose vehicles, SPVs, to hold these properties. And of course, when the liability is with the company, it becomes business protection, specifically business loan protection. And that can historically put some people off. They think business protection is a bit complicated. But business loan, especially business loan protection, is incredibly simple. It is basically like normal mortgage cover, but with the company owning the policy instead of the life assured. So the company would take out the policy on the life of the person who's actually taken out the buy-to-let mortgage. The company would receive the proceeds in the event of their death or critical illness. So the conversation is very, very easy to have, and I think it's probably one that's important for people to be aware of, because if the trend that we're being told is happening for increased use of limited companies to hold these properties, and I can't see that trend decreasing as long as the tax changes keep being phased in, then I think it's a conversation that people are going to need to have more and more.
Okay, that's great. And I know that AIG have been putting themselves forward as a huge sort of bigger and bigger business protection player in the UK market recently, and I think this helps you to bring that reputation to a broader base of individuals. So
Definitely.
thank you very much for your time.
That's a
and I
pleasure.
hope that yields some great sort of business opportunities, not just for AIG and for Paradigm, but for all our members.
Indeed.
So thank you very much.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.